Alright people, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification. That way you'll know when I upload the next video and you'll be supporting my channel. Follow me on Twitter. Every time I upload a new video, I'll be tweeting. Ladies and gents, almost Rex, and this is Might and Magic 9 Review, classic bootleg RPG for Somalians. For Somalians, what the fuck? This was channel ssethtzeentach. The last installment in the original Might and Magic franchise, the last game developed by the developer and the last game published by the publisher. Everything he just basically writes or says is just hilarious. So I guess this is Might and Magic 9 is when the developer and publisher both went bankrupt or something. So after this, Ubisoft took over the Heroes series too, because as far as I know, Might and Magic and Heroes of Might and Magic both are from the same people, right? So if publisher and developer both went bust in 2002 after Might and Magic 9, so I guess this is after this Ubisoft took over. Or maybe they just stopped making this and they still made Heroes, I don't know. So let's do this one. Remember, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe so I know which type of videos to react to more. Check out other reaction, there's a link in the description. Check out the card, check out the end cards, and yeah, let's watch it.
Hey people, Seth here. We finally got to this point. Amongst all the good games I've covered, sooner or later we had to do it. This is it. This is when I start drinking. Might and Magic 9, The Writ of Fate. The last chapter in the original Might and Magic franchise.
Wait a minute, I did the 7th, right? I'm pretty sure I did the 7th one. Did I do the 8th one? Wow, did he remove it from his channel or something? I don't know.
And the final nail in the coffin for both the developer and the publisher. Although it didn't directly result in their financial ruin, 3DO can take credit for that. Might and Magic 9 was like the final victim of a plague that was their poor management decisions. Its mangled corpse a pathological tapestry waiting to be dissected and picked apart to see just where the fuck it went wrong. And it went wrong from the start. From picking Lift Tech as their engine to deciding that 3D graphics have something to do with triangles. Might and Magic 9 tried to revive the series by moving away from sprited graphics. What we got instead was this abomination. Optical.
Oh my god. Look at how terrifying looks everything, the models and everything. I know this is an old game from 2002, but still, yeah, somebody should make a mod to add this music as a background music wherever we go. Because as soon as you open the door of some merchant is flying somewhere on the wall, and then you ask somebody and they just turn around like a robot and just stares at you like, what the fuck?
Drive. Don't mind the strange sound as it tries to lift off.
Oh well, at least the installer worked on my laptop.
After you come to grips with a horrific art style, you can form your party. You can choose between birth defects and the offspring of first cousins. You can choose their personality, which varies from arrogant, annoying, or just stupid. Appropriately, I made a party of women. A short tutorial later, you're sent off on your quest to die in exile on the Isle of Asperger's, hopefully before your kind has a chance to reproduce. You might now realize that something's a bit off. Remember those maps I showed you of Might and Magic 6, 7, and 8? They're not here anymore. We're not even on the same planet. Instead, we're on the planet of Sturmford, Drangheim, Gubeland, Fjorgard, Fronheim, and Frostgard. Now that I think of it, this isn't even a fantasy map. This is just a map of Denmark, following the events of Might and Magic. Even a fantasy map. This.
Okay, wait a second. Isn't that kind of look like Skyrim's map with Winter Rollardo?
And Frostgard. Now that I think of it, this isn't even a fantasy map. This This is just a map of Denmark. Following the events of Might and Magic 8, we stopped Eschaton. But it didn't really matter because somebody made a sword that nukes the planet if you ever use it. So, Enroth kind of blew up anyway. 9 avoids touching the plot of anything that happened before, which is a breath of fresh air from 3D printed guns, devil aliens, and cyborgs. Instead, they take the mythology of a Nordic pantheon and their gods, and structure a fantasy version of Scandinavia around them. Anyway, you crash land on Asperger Isle and find Forad Dari, a spy for the barbarian armies. He says you should probably get a fortune telling from the local island hag or something. She tells you to unite the clans of Chedian to repel the barbarian armies of Temur Lang. So you do that, but just before leaving the Isles you ask Forad if he'd like to come along, and ask him about the barbarians. He says they're nice people, so you unite the clans and prepare to fight the barbarians. But you need to go cotton picking for an old lady, so you ask Forad Dari, a spy for the barbarian armies, to lead the 6 clans against the barbarian army while you're away. Unfortunately, it turns out that Forad Dari was a
Wait a minute, is that actually what happens? You stab somebody and everybody claps?
spy for the barbarian armies all along, and has betrayed your troops. I'm not making any of this up, by the way. Then you go to Temur Lang and say, yo, what the fuck? Our writ of fate said we were destined to stop you. What gives? And he says, his writ of fate said he was destined to win. So you go on wacky Scooby-Doo mystery-solving adventures together to figure out why fortune-telling isn't considered an empirical science and find out who's responsible. As it happens,
there must be something to this. I was told that I was gonna do this, but that didn't happen. What could it be? What? She lied. No, that
anyone
can't
can
be
write
it.
a writ of fate, but it takes a special kind of retard to follow the directions of a fortune cookie. One god, Najam the Trickster, has been doing just that, and the gods are very unhappy, so they ask you to pull a lever to win the game. The game ends by pulling a lever, which puts Najam in jail and puts the company that made this game into bankruptcy. Again, I'm not making any of this up. Development of the game was slashed at the halfway point. The developers were asked to wrap it up and finish it immediately, so they literally just put a lever to end the game, because they had no fucking time left. Because 3DO still wanted it on the shelves to try and recoup some of their massive financial losses, because they were bleeding money left and right. What we're left with in the end is an almost pre-alpha copy, or a tech demo, of what Might and Magic 9 could have been. There's all
Wait a minute, so story is such a half-ass that story ends as soon as you pull a lever and you'll be like, what the fuck, is that it? Isn't that, if it's that blatant, won't that cause lawsuits from people? Like, you scammed us with a half-ass copy. I mean, you can't just sell that shit. If you half-ass, fuck it, here you go, lever, game over. You can't do that, right? I guess it's open to interpretation after that, right? They can just argue like this was a story we were going with from the beginning.
all the traces and evidence of a potentially great RPG butchered. The class system was revamped into different tier lists and promotions that were all distinct in their advantages and drawbacks. The spell system was streamlined and fused many of the discrete spellbooks from the previous games into a single spellbook that would require different combinations of spell alignments between spirit, elemental, light, and dark to successfully use different kinds of magic, with less spells overall, but each of them being significantly different from the rest, and offering game-changing strategies should you reach them. And combat was changed from killing hundreds and thousands of sprited monsters to a tactical experience where you might fight 3 or 4 homeless people for their soup. But these homeless people will put up one hell of a fight. They have nothing to lose, since they have nothing to give, except their lives. You will spend the first few hours of the game killing different tier upgrades of homeless people, ranging from escaped slaves to master slaves, slaves that have reached mastery in the art of serfdom and poverty magic. The quests in this game are fairly interesting as well. Actually, I retract that opinion. The quests are garbage. Fuck this game. Easily the best feature of the game is the music. The compositional score is absolutely amazing and probably one of my favorites from the series. That about covers it for the good. The bad is everything else.
Hi there. Would you like to buy some armor?
Finding people in towns is an
Is Chuck Norris talking like that? Damn, this whole might and magic thing, even though it's, I guess certain people are die-hard fans of it, met with a real tragedy, right? By the end, it just, I guess, went downhill. I bet there are people who are, I guess, looking forward to Might and Magic 9, like, oh, more Might and Magic, this is going to be great. But they had no idea that their companies are basically going bankrupt and they just fucked up the whole storyline because they didn't have much time left. That is just sad. I mean, after knowing all this, when you hear, oh, look at the Ubisoft, purchase the copy, you would be happy, right? But even Ubisoft didn't give a fuck. Even they're like, fuck it, just, we are focusing on Assassin's Creed. We killed Prince of Persia, and now we are focusing on just solely Assassin's Creed. So, of course, we're not going to, pay any attention to Might and Magic franchise.
Experience, since most houses are locked and you can't be sure if the person walking around is either a generic elf peasant with 2 lines of dialogue or the only trainer for disarming traps within a 500-kilometer radius. The only way to find out is to question all the generic character models you see, which will quickly drive you insane. Even when you discover where someone is located, there's no ability to take notes or put annotations on the map, so you'll repeat the process all over again. The other big gripe is the sound. The music is great, but something is off about the sound. Maybe it's the fact that there are several sound effects in the game that are 100 times louder than anything else, and will either rape your ears when you hear them, or burst your eardrums. Unfortunately, one of these sounds is the sound of the coast, which is a shame since each of the areas are different isles reached by water and surrounded by water. So if you dare get in front of the docks, you will be assaulted by the sound of waves crashing against your...
So I guess by the end, you're supposed to, polish the game by checking the sound levels and shit. But clearly, if they can even finish the story, they're not going to polish it with if it is loud or not.
Skull. Unfortunately, the other one of these sounds is the sound of birds chirping, which is a shame since each of the areas are different isles covered by trees.
That's a
So if
bird?
you dare get out of range of the docks, you will be assaulted by the sound of magpies screaming and drilling into your brain. But there's another problem. I can't lower these sounds. Lowering the volume in the menu slider does nothing. They aren't controlled by the audio menu. They're above it and not subject to its laws. As a final piece of criticism, this game contains the worst designed puzzle I've ever seen.
It's not a bug, it's a feature. This is supposed to be a terrifying environment.
Seen in a game, bordering on sadistic. So during the main quest, you need to get to the final area of the game world. But to get there, you need to line up several mirrors and then activate a crystal, which will shoot lightning to reflect off each mirror to the door and open up the passage. Sounds simple enough, doesn't it?
Oh, this is where that comes from. This is even in the thing in Assassin's Creed Origins, I think. You go to a desert place, there's a tomb there, right, in the south of the map. You have to align mirrors to, I guess, open something. I'm pretty sure I've seen that in some movie or something. So is this where it originated from?
Now imagine this. Each mirror can only be rotated by a single degree at a time, giving each mirror 360 possible positions. Each mirror can only be rotated clockwise. If you think you've got the mirrors correctly aligned, you can activate the crystal, which will zap lightning towards the first mirror and nothing happens. Because
That's not the worst of it, right? What if you mistakenly click one more time and it just moves a degree, like, oh god damn it, now to do 360 degree again.
each and every one of the mirrors needs to be aligned to the exact degree to reflect the lightning to the next mirror, or it won't work. The only way of checking this is to move a mirror a single degree, walk over to the crystal, activate it, and repeat. Repeat endlessly until you found the exact perfect alignment for each mirror to solve this mind-numbing puzzle. Oh, and Lord forbid you actually click twice in a row accidentally and overstep the perfect alignment by a degree. Well, then you'll need to click it another 359 times to get it back in the perfect position. This is torture. This is something Marquis de Sade would say is a little extreme and messed up. I give this game a very small number out of a larger number. Despite everything though, I enjoyed it. There's a lot of good buried under a rushed schedule, and we're left instead with a lot of shit. I don't recommend playing it unless you're a big fan of the series or a nihilist, or you
Look, here's what I'm gonna say to what he just said basically about what the game is good. Underneath there's good. Whenever we come across some old game which is kind of underdeveloped and just has a overall tragedy to it, we try to find things that are good, right? We try to find it and we just feel, look at that, there is something good here. So there is something buried inside all this crap, but it's really not, right? Just stop thinking like that, like this is an old game, this is a tragedy. Just see it as some game, right? Old game, what does old game has? Certain mechanics and graphics are not going to be there, but just see it as a game, and you realize, oh wait a minute, this is just crap all around. Doesn't matter if the the developers went bankrupt earlier. That's not our problem. So game overall, it kind of sucks because story just is half-assed. This mirror thing could be annoying. The sound suck. Story, right? Mechanics and sound, all three things suck at this point. So what is left?
Have a contractual obligation to the Merchants Guild, which has been generously funding these videos and threatens me that if I ever stop, they'll take off another one of my sister's fingers.
All these are culprits. Alright people, that was Might and Magic 9, the final one I guess. I haven't reacted to, I guess he latestly did 6 re-review. So I guess he did it again. Dementia Edition. I think I'm gonna do that tomorrow. I don't know why Might and Magic whole series, what happened, right? How certain games are really good, how certain games just point blank sucks because developers ran out of money. Whole story is fascinating. So yeah. Alright, if you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe, check out the reaction, there's a link in the description, check out the cards, check out the cards, and yeah, I'll see you next time.